Today is the day. We're doing cab corners. And I'm going to show you how to do it. So let's get to it. All right, this is what we're starting with. The metal is, you can tell where they boogered it before in the past. So we're going to take all that off with the DA. We're going to DA this down and just see just exactly where we're sitting. And the other side is just as bad or worse. So let's get the DA out. Let's see what we got to work with here. Now, I hate to say it, but this is the kind of bullshit you're going to get into when you get into these old trucks. That's mesh. That's screen. They shoved a whole handful of screen in the bottom of this thing just to mud it up, to cover it up. So I got to dig all this out and see what we actually got left. Now, I know the backside is solid because I've already been there. I cleaned everything up before I put the gas tank in. So everything on the backside has been cleaned and painted. So I know it's solid on the backside, but this is, can you see it? That's screen door mesh shoved in that hole. The whole thing, it's all the way back in here. See it right there? That's the kind of BS that people have done over the years to these things. That's metal, but that's just, it's just sad. It's just really sad that that's the kind of things that people did. That guy got paid for this job. He got paid for this paint job. Hey, if you're here and you're still watching, like, share, and subscribe. Smash that bell, hit that button. Tell your friends. Okay, now in all actuality, this is really not actually that bad. This is only about 4 inches, 5 inches of that, of what I need for a patch. This is solid. You can see down in here, their metal is solid. This is your weep hole for your cab. Go through there, that's solid. See, all this metal in the back is good. So it's a matter of cutting this, and just patching just this section, because the rest of it's solid. So we'll DA some more, and then we'll draw some lines, and we'll go get a game plan of what we're going to do. But really, honestly, that's solid as a rock too. It just got surface on it. We'll clean all this, and I got a nice little special little brush to use inside there on a drill bit to get in the nooks and crannies and get all the stuff out. But right now, see, she's dry. There's no debris. But this is what came out of there, including the screen. And I'm pretty sure the other side's going to be just as bad. But that's what we're dealing with right now on this. We'll be able to leave that corner coming around and a line from here down. I might even go, there really isn't no reason to go any harder, but I mean, we might go 5 or 6 inches within the patch panel. And this is all solid. I've had all this on the inside has been cleaned and painted to protect it for the future. So I've seen a lot worse. So you can just say, but this was just the size of my hand is about all we're going to need to replace. Okay, here's what we got figured out. This is how much I'm going to cut off of here. I'm going to leave a line here on the backside. I'm going to cut it here. I'm going to cut it here. I'm going to cut it across here, straight in here, and basically down this line right here to the corner, because I'm just basically, I'm going to be butt welding this, but this is solid here, you know, and we're going to cut this section out. And all I did was, because that's why the lines are extended, I'm just kind of eyeballing the patch panel of what I'm cutting off. As you can see, and yes, it's big. It's bigger than it needs to be, but I need to get this section right here. It's hard to do one-handed. I need to get this section one right here cut off first, so that I can get a better fit. So, and then I'll mess with the lines again. But first thing I'm going to do is I want to cut this section off along with this little tab right here, because I don't need it, because it's good solid metal there. And then we're going to cut the box out and get in there and clean it, paint it, protect it. Okay, I went ahead and knocked off the bottom edge. That's some stranglers here, but knocked off the bottom. This is the way she's going to sit in, like this, and I knocked off that bottom edge so I could get in here real good with it. And I wanted, like I said, I made it a little bit big with my line, which is perfect. All right, so my line that I have drawn, as a matter of fact, I want to, I get this in place exactly where I want it. Yep. There's my mark for my line. Take that off. All the way up against the bottom line, there's enough there to do whatever I need to do with, because she's going to sink in another 3/16 of an inch, which I'll be trimming off. But that's the whole point. I got it where I needed it so I could work it, and then just start whittling it down from here. So now I know I got a mark. I'll take my paint stick. I'll mark it there, because I know that's just right about perfect, because it's all the way up again in the bottom. And yeah, I said again, that's a southern term. So it's all the way up against the bottom there. Good line. And we can work from here. There will be, okay, and as you can see, there will be a spot weld or two involved here. I'm just gonna, yep, pop it, which will be ground off later. Boom, there's your piece. All that old nastiness. She's not that bad of a shape. And that's just dirt. We're going to clean this all out. That's your weep hole right there. And then you have a support piece that runs right up here, that runs right up the cab. And then had that one right there that will grind that down a little bit with the flapper wheel. That's spot weld. Which you could probably do another spot weld there if we wanted to on this piece. But now that all that is basically off, and she's pretty straight, we can put this back in place and see how close we are. Because we know we have to take this off. That's pretty dadgum close. So we can, yep. She might be a little bit wide, which is fine. It's just a matter of trimming and fitting and trimming and fitting and trimming and fitting now. But let's clean this up. Okay, I told you I had a special little brush I was going to use. I bought this one to clean bolts with, to take the bed apart. And man, does it work good in little tight places. It bounces around a lot, but it does a good job. All right, let's do some paint. Okay, after well, about an hour of cutting and grinding and cutting and grinding, I'm about there. And I just want to show you where we're at. So I'm going to have to be very careful around this corner. If you can see, she's pretty close, but she's still, all the dinking around with this has kind of widened the corner on the plate. Taking off, taking off, putting on, taking off. It's a little bit off from the plate itself, but I think if I tack to here, I can work it around the corner and get it to fit right here. I got plenty of room gappage there, and this is going to come right around, tuck right up on it, and you know the seam seal right there that I'm going to have to redo. I'll probably put a tack in there to get it in place where it needs to go. But other than that, this side is pretty good. It's pretty flush, so, and it's all of it's got a little bit of a gap. Now I might actually put a little bit more gappage like right here, because I want to butt weld this. I want to have a good gap so it's strong. And if you guys don't know what I mean by that, let's go to the whiteboard. Okay, now what I mean by butt weld is always going to be stronger than a seam weld or a lap weld. Let me explain it to you. Okay, you want to put a gap in between your two pieces of metal, so whenever you weld this, it makes penetration all the way through. If you make a weld on a plate that's butted up tight where no air gets through, and you put a weld on it, you're just going to weld right here. All right? And you're not going to get penetration back. It's going to be super easy just to snap it right off. Okay? Lap weld, what I mean by lap weld is some guys take a flanging tool and flange it and then put the piece on like this and then weld here. Again, same problem as this one. You don't have full penetration, so you want to have a little bit of a gap so that whenever you weld that bead, it's in that whole piece. Zzz, and you're going to hear it when you're going to know when you hear it. So a butt weld with a small gap so that the penetration can get through to both sides, it's always going to be 100 times stronger than that. If you took any kind of motion like this, then that weld is going to snap and it's not strong. You can twist and move and do all kinds of things with a butt weld that's got full penetration is always going to be superior to either one of these two. And I want to make sure that I do it right the first time. All right, so I don't have to do this again, so that whenever my grandson hopefully gets this truck, then it's going to still be intact and he ain't going to have to do all this. He's just going to be able to enjoy the truck. Butt welds with a gap, a small gap, are always superior to a surface weld. That's just the way it is, guys. Okay, now I know she looks a little ugly right now, but this is just, I didn't quite have my temperature set right on my machine. But the biggest portion is that all of this is flat, okay? Now the problem is going to be here. See how she's a little bit off right here? Now this line is right. You can see she's pretty much dead on, but this corner is not as sharp, or it doesn't have as much bend as the original cab, which it's normal. You know, I mean, I could probably daub this in and make it look good, but what I'm going to want to do is take this off, and I'm going to need to peel this back some, take a little bit of a screwdriver and get in there and just kind of bend this out till I get to about right here and get a tack in. That way I can push it back around and then get a tack in and then a tack. So I'm going to bring it all the way out to here. I'm going to bring it out to here to the edge because it's, as you can see, get you to focus here. All these are nice and flat. You can't even hook your fingernail on it, okay? And this is pretty good still here too. There's a little bit of an edge. So I'm going to give this a little tap and get this in and get a tack right here. Right here. This is going to be my last tack. And then I'm going to get behind this and pull this out a little bit to get this edge right. And then I'll get a tack here, and then I'll get a tack in the center to lock it. Or I'll tack it in here to lock it, and then push it, because this will be sticking out a little farther, and or use a magnet or use a clamp or whatever to push it back in to make around that corner. But this is just part of it, guys. So everything else is pretty good right now. And no, I know you guys, there's some guys out there that are better welders than I am and everything, but this is a driver. I'm going to bring paint in from the backside. I've got an access hole here in the back. The paint's coming in. I'm going to make this thing strong and steady, and where grandson will be proud to drive it in 30 years or 20 years, whenever I decide to give it to him. So, to be continued. Little ingenuity never hurt. She's right as rain. All right, so we're going to put tack here, right here, and then we're going to and then we're going to try to actually, that's pretty good. We're going to put tack here and here and hold it, and then bring it around on this side. Yep, that's what we're going to do. Tack here. Actually, nope. We're going to. There we go. Yep. Tack there. Tack there. Okay. Tack you there. Come around the mountain when she comes. She'll be coming around the mountain when she comes. I don't have good lighting, but she's pretty close. She's a little low on this side of the weld. There's a little, but that's filler, you know, so she's a little low. And she's pretty even here. And she's pretty even up in here. So I got a little bit of cleanup to do underneath. But go to the store and get some DA pads. I ran out of DA pads. And a little bit of Bondo. Smear it up. DA it down. Take the sander to it. She's pretty good. Second side is worse. Geez, this side's completely gone. And they had actually used a piece of this was shoved up in there as the backing. There wasn't no screen in this side. You can tell they just kind of bent it under and filled it in. So we'll be taking this completely out. Yeah, she's rotting all the way back to the bottom here. So we'll be cutting this and using the whole bottom piece without a lot of trimming. But we're going to have to trim all the way up into here, which is twice as long. You can see my hand. Yeah, we're going to use a lot of that patch panel, and the seam will be up in here. Okay, this is where we're sitting on the passenger side. Other side's already pretty much done, welded up. This one is kind of the same process. I cut it big, so I would have a lot of space left over to do. So there's about that much right here. It's about right dead center. About that much right here. This is where the line is. As you can see where the line is right here. Let that focus. Zip. So again, we're just going to slowly work it down to where she fits. Where I'm happy, I'm going to have to trim a little bit on this lip on the inside here, because it's making it stand up. As you can tell, it's making it sit up a little higher than the rocker. When we get done with this, we're going to have to just dip this together and in here. That's it. So this one will be a lot less welding than the other side because there was more material, but this one was just, it was gone. It's sitting over there in the pile, just twisted, rotten, 3 times as bad as the driver's side. But we'll get to working on this. I'll take my clapper disc and I'll just start whittling this down until she starts fitting. And we're getting pretty close here. We got her, it's pretty much even on the bottom. Okay, got a little bit of gappage like we wanted. This one, this is out here facing. This one's a little bit off, but I really don't care because the most important is getting this line and this line right. Okay, so I gotta take my knee and do a little pushage on here because she's a little, she needs to be bent a little bit, but she'll get there and get a tack in right about right here to hold it in place to get it up with the, even with the rocker. But then after that, this gap closes up a little bit, and then we can let loose of this and let everything just kind of relax and settle because, you know, she still got movement. I just got her held up with one piece. But again, just like the other side, this corner, because this is the replacement patch panel. It's not perfect, okay? So I'm thinking about maybe dinging. Nah, I'm not going to do that either. We're going to work it just like we did the other side. We're going to work on this side. We're going to work across. We'll get it locked into here, and then we'll take the hammer to it, and we'll make the line work. So I'm going to set up the welder and start this process. Oh, and since we ain't got to weld anything underneath here, we're probably going to put the clamp to it and maybe drill a hole and do a couple of spot welds on the back side to lock the bottom side in. Okay, and like I thought, this, I know I had it set a little too hot. Anyways, but once I got to this corner, it was sticking. Once I got to this corner, it was sticking way out here. It was sticking way out here. So all I did was I took my little hammer and I just gave it a couple of little small, easy love taps just to get it around, okay? Because you can see it's still sticking out a little bit, but there's plenty of movement to be able to get this where it needs to go. See, there's still lots of movement involved. A little bit of gappage. See, nice little gap. Nice little welding going on. So she's tacked up. She's ugly right now, but we'll fill her all back in, and I'll get my setting right on my machine. But I turned it down just a little bit just now. So, but other than that, I think we're almost there. I need to put a tack in probably right here, and then give it some more love taps right in here to get this move. Well, I don't know. Maybe I can push it. That's pretty close. No, I still need to tap it. So, but that's just the process. It's just, I started here, came around, made sure everything was right, and I checked with the door, shut the door, made sure the line is right. So now it's just a matter of tacking the rest of the way in, getting it flattened up, and then just zinc, 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 just move it around. Now, I've miscalculated a little bit, okay, and so the tacks have drawn this up where it's overlapping, okay? So she's sitting exactly where I want her to sit. This way, here, all the way around to here, right? She's even all the way across. Now, it drew, when the heat drew it up, okay? Drew the gap up that I thought I had. So how do you fix that? Well, what we're going to do is we're just going to take the cutoff wheel and we're going to start about right here, and we're just going to zip on that line. And that'll give us enough space. Trust me, that little 1/16 of an inch cutoff wheel just going through here, 1/16 of an inch, is not going to hurt anything, but it'll give us the space and it'll give us the perfect little groove to finish welding it up. And this is not going to be perfect anyways because this line is different than this line. See, this is patch panel stuff right here, guys. But like on if this was a fleet side bed, this wouldn't show. but I'm not quite sure how much of this is going to show. It won't really be noticeable, but it'll show, I think, on the step side. I think it'll be, I'm not quite sure how much of this gets covered up, but anyways, that's how you fix this. You got too much gap, it's overlapped. You just take your cutoff wheel and you just use that as an edge, and you just real quick and just take that out, and it'll just be perfect. I'll show you after I get done. And there's your gap, and it's a little bit more of a gap than I wanted, but it ain't nothing I can't daub up with the welder. But see, now I have enough movement to get it exactly where I want, and then we can get that edge, which turned out pretty good. I mean, I gotta admit, the edge-wise, width-wise, it's spot on, but just the way the metal is the groove here on it ain't even close. But that's what you get with patch panels. So we're going to finish tacking this up, and then see, I got the movement that I need. Boom, 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 and we'll get it where it needs to go, and then we'll finish spot welding this in and start grinding. Hey, have you guys tried these yet? I'm telling you what, these are like grinding this stuff. This is the best thing I ever found. Keeps it out of my beard, keeps it in my eyes. They don't fog. There'll be a link for these down below. I highly recommend these suckers. Okay, she's about 90%. Got her DA down, and there actually ended up being a dent here on this cab. I didn't feel it until I started DAing it. You can see where the low spot is. So she's about 90%. We're gonna do a little bit more work with the DA, and then we're gonna mix up the Bondo. Then we're gonna smear this, and then we'll sand it down, and we'll do the same thing on the other side. Smear it and sand it down, and then go from there. Now I want to talk to you guys about something, and I don't know if you're noticing, but the consistency of my Bondo is a little different than normal. And I was watching this thing online about it, and I added that to my Bondo, okay? And I was kind of skeptical about it, about adding resin to the Bondo, but when you look at the ingredients list on both back sides, the same ingredient in that's in that. So I just add a little bit, stir it up, add a little bit, stir it up, add a little bit, stir it up, and I just played with it a little bit, and I would say I'm probably at like 5%, and oh my goodness, is this going to be a lot easier to do? So think about trying it now. Now, it didn't take a lot. There's a lot in that can. It didn't take much to make that Bondo that consistency. Just Bondo brand fiberglass resin. Just add a little bit to it and stir it up, and then add a little bit to it and stir it up, and add a little bit to it and stir it up until you find the mix. Well, that's all there is to it. I had a spot on this door, had this putty up, I had that one over there to putty up, and a spot on another door to hit while it's here, and now it's a matter of just letting it dry, taking the DA to it, taking the longboard to it, getting it all slicked out. Whoop, I did. But that is how you replace cab corners, and then just a matter of just smoothing it out, making it look good, doing just general body work, and you're finished. So if you're still here, like, share, subscribe, smash that button, hit that bell, tell your friends. Y'all have a good day.